Hello and welcome back to another video about Naruto. I recently did a video about Naruto Part 1 and basically the reason why you really should watch it, and that reason is it was banging. It was a really good show. That also included the filler. Yes, filler is tedious and it's not really something that a lot of people want to watch, including myself. However, it was absolutely fantastic. But today we are going to talk about Naruto Shippuden. Naruto Shippuden covers episodes 220 all the way through to the end, which is 720 I want to say. And it was a ride from start to end. I absolutely adored watching Naruto Shippuden. Naruto Shippuden basically follows the period from when Naruto comes back from his training arc. He went on a training mission with Jiraiya, and that was the end of the canon from the manga episodes. There was a good like 90 episodes that were filler episodes. It kind of follows Naruto and other characters through this time period from when part 1 ends and Shippuden starts. But episode 1 of Shippuden basically starts with, well, you see a little bit of a cut here. You do follow a little bit of a mission where Naruto and his team are trying to find Sasuke, and then it cuts to Naruto returning to the Hidden Leaf Village with Jiraiya. He's went on his journey and he has become stronger, he's become better, and honestly, he's a bit more badass than what he was. Shippuden in general was another one of those shows that I didn't really want to sit and watch. Number one, it had far too many episodes that I didn't want to watch, and I eventually did because after watching Naruto Part 1 I was hooked on the story. So leading on to Part 2 was just the natural desperation of an anime watcher, and do you know what, it was absolutely fantastic. Again, I will keep this as spoiler free as possible. Naruto Shippuden follows as Naruto and his friends fighting against the Akatsuki, who are a team of bad guys basically, who are trying to obtain the Jinchuriki. The Jinchuriki being the people who have these tailed beasts inside of them, and it follows that whole path culminating into a war. Now that is probably the least spoilery way of talking about it. There is so much that happens in this 500 episodes. Now the entire of Naruto Shippuden in a nutshell is just, it is fantastic. It is such a good story. There's so much detail in the story, there's so much history, and there's so much feeling, but there is a couple of things that aren't fantastic in it. The pacing of the show has been a bit of a topic when people talk about Naruto Shippuden. The pacing being that every now and again you get these flashback sequences of some of the characters that delay the storytelling. Now, as a fan of all of the background that comes with these types of stories, I actually really enjoyed that. I enjoyed hearing about the history of the characters, why the characters are the way they are. You get a lot of Kakashi's background, you get Asuma's background, you even get like Itachi's background and what happens and everything. You get so much story in these like few 2 or 3 episodes kind of spin-offs where you see most of this background with some of the main story kind of bleeding into the episodes, and it does kill the pacing ever so slightly. But if you are a fan of any type of the history of a show, the history of characters and stuff, it is something that, don't skip it. I thoroughly enjoyed these episodes, but these few episodes, yes, they did kill the pacing just a little bit because they did take away from the main storyline. Although it did give quite a lot, I feel, to the characters, it did kind of delay the climax of some storylines. The other thing that I have noticed when I've been looking up anything about the Naruto series, Naruto Shippuden, whatever it is a lot of people commented on the animation of some of Shippuden, which there is a few scenes where you think, it seemed that a lot of the animation did not have really any shading or anything. Now, some of the animation of the characters and things looked fantastic, but it just didn't feel finished. There was a lot of times where it did lack any type of finishing, any shading, all of that kind of thing. It did feel very flat, but the actual animation was decent. It was just very flat. I know that some people would prefer to watch a show that has this outstanding animation like you get in the shows these days. Honestly, when I was watching Jujutsu Kaisen, there was a few scenes in that actually reminded me of how Naruto had been animated, because there was a few scenes in Jujutsu Kaisen that was like very flat, and I was like, oh, this looks familiar. Yes, I know that Jujutsu Kaisen has amazing animation styles sometimes, but there was a couple of scenes that I was like, Anyway, we will save that one for a different video. But despite these, a couple of little setbacks that I felt were noteworthy, but for me didn't diminish my love of it. I can understand why other people would not like that. A couple of things that I absolutely adored. Soundtrack, obviously. The soundtrack was absolutely incredible. When I did my video about Fairy Tail, I mentioned that the composer who did the Fairy Tail OST, Yasuharu Takanashi, also did the soundtrack for Naruto, but they didn't. They did the soundtrack for Naruto Shippuden. I believe it was Toshio Masuda? Matsuda? I can't remember how to pronounce their surname, but it was them that did part 1 of Naruto. There were some other people involved as well, but in part 2 in Shippuden, it was Yasuharu Takanashi. So the soundtrack, I am actually listening to it in my ears right now because it's so goddamn good. The sound that they matched to Naruto was just perfection. Like, they understood what they had to do, and they did it. It's amazing. I listen to it all the time, and honestly, the soundtrack kept me coming back. I get very emotional when I listen to soundtracks, and this soundtrack, honestly, even the like most simple of scenes, the scenes that did lack the depth and animation, I found myself getting really emotional during these fight scenes that you know, the animation might have not been the best in the world, but the story together with the music and having some kind of visual was just, oh, I loved it so much. But on top of absolutely everything, what kept me coming back was certain characters. Now, you may have noted that you have been sitting watching a speed drawing that I did in the past. Although it is not my favourite drawing that I have done, it's not my favourite edited video that I have done either. However, my favourite character, well, one of them is my favourite character. The other one is also a favourite, but just not as much. Asuma Saratobi is genuinely one of the best characters in the whole goddamn show. I adore Asuma Saratobi. His entire character is just cool, badass, hot. Now, Asuma, when you first meet Asuma in part 1, I did speak a little bit about him then, but I didn't really go into too much detail because in part 1, he's not really, I don't want to say it, but he's not all that important in part 1. He really comes into it in part 2. So Asuma Saratobi is the leader of Team 10. He is a wonderful character, he is a wonderful mentor, he's very caring, he's very good at using each of the different skills of his team and finding ways to help the team grow by using their own personalities to progress them. He also has really good relations with a lot of the other senseis in the town, especially one, and that is Kurenai. It is kind of hinted throughout the whole of part 1 and pretty much the whole of part 2 as well that Asuma and Kurenai are a thing, and it seems like the entire village ships them. I also kind of did too because they were kind of cute. Asuma's history as well, he has quite a long history. He grew up in the Leaf Village, and being the son of one of the Hokages, there was a lot of expectation on him, but he did have a disagreement with his father. He then left the Leaf Village and became one of the 12 Guardian Ninja, I believe that's what they're called, who were placed into the position of guarding basically the leader of that nation. His skills were excellent and he did really well in the 12 Guardian Ninja, but eventually he got called back to the Leaf Village, and after a few things he ended up teaching in the Leaf Village, and that is where we got to him being the leader of Team 10. Because of his background, he is a very well revered, is that a word I want to use? A lot of people do look up to him, and another reason that people look up to him is that he has quite a rare ability, and that is the use of wind chakra. Now again, spoiler free, but after certain things happen with Naruto realizes that he really should hone his wind chakra. So what he does is he goes to Asuma, and Asuma begins teaching him more about it, which that meant that we got a little bit more time with Asuma, which I really enjoyed. Once they had finished their training, Asuma was then assigned to a mission where he was to find some of the Akatsuki members that were hidden in the local area, leading to what is probably my favourite arc, mostly because you do have a lot more of Asuma in here. Asuma is kind of a B character. He's not the main storyline, but he is kind of around quite a lot, not as much as characters like Kakashi, but you do see him in a lot of the scenes that are in the Hidden Leaf Village, but it doesn't really come to the forefront all that often. But in these like few arcs, you see a lot of him. There's a lot of stuff that happens in these arcs, and again, I will keep it spoiler free, but they are my favourite. That is also where my probably number one favourite opening is, like from the show, and that is Bluebird. If you're a fan of Naruto, you know exactly which one I'm talking about. It's absolutely fantastic. And at the end of these arcs, honestly, some of the best scenes in the whole show. He then comes into it more later on again in the Ninja War, which those scenes were just amazing. Now, I am keeping this as spoiler free as possible because I want whoever to watch this, if you've seen Naruto, if you've not seen Naruto, well, if you've seen Naruto, you know exactly the arcs and the scenes later on that I'm talking about. If you haven't seen it, I want you to go and watch it. I want you to enjoy it as much as I did. And then come back and tell me how much you enjoyed it. His character just brought so much into Naruto. And honestly, when I go back and rewatch Shippuden, I generally watch those few arcs and then stop there. I have watched the entire of Shippuden through 2 times now? Oh no, 3. I've watched the entire of Shippuden through 3 times now. I regret absolutely none of that at all. It was so fantastic. And if you add that together with how many times I've watched those few arcs, let's just pretend that I have a life. But Asuma brought so much flavour to the show. He brought a lot of happiness for me personally because I just loved his character so much. He was the best eye candy as well. I made the point in my last video too. Those characters were a little bit older, and for me, coming in as an older person watching the show, I was like, so yeah, I really just wanted to talk about Asuma because he's awesome. I love him very much. And I've drawn Asuma now an embarrassing amount of times. I've drawn him twice on pencil. I've drawn him the time digitally that you've been watching in the background. I also did a black and white drawing of him and Kurenai fighting. Well, not them fighting, but they were fighting someone else. And I have drawn 2 more outlines, sketches, to draw Asuma again, and I decided against it. One of them turned into Sugurigeto from Jujutsu Kaisen, and the other one turned into Saikino. So he's a very, very good character. He's very, very fun to draw, and I would love to draw him again and again and again, but I'm trying to stop myself from drawing him over and over and over again. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll be back talking about anime another time, so please keep your eyes peeled for those videos. Remember to hit the like button below and subscribe for more. I have plenty of other drawings of anime characters up on my channel as well, and I will probably talk about them shortly. But if you like this one, remember to hit the like button below, subscribe for more, because I post every Friday. I also stream every Wednesday and Saturday over on Twitch, so if you would like to come and hang out and see me live, come and check me out here. But whether I see you on YouTube or I see you on Twitch, I look forward to seeing you there, and I'll see you next time.